Hello viewers, Sriram here. This is from ShriLearning. I know this is a new background, new environment. I'm also in a new place, and it's so exciting to watch people clearing PMP. The reason could be is PMP is every day having its own value, keep going high, as Agile getting added, leadership concepts are depth there. On top of that, your discipline gets improved. That's very interesting part of PMP. Interestingly, now they're giving a new certificate. I mean, the new color and new feel, we're going to see that. Before that, we have Sukanto in front of us. He cleared PMP very recently, excited, fresh looking. So first, congratulations for a great achievement.
Thank you very much, Sriram. I think it's I owe it to ShriLearning, to you, to the ShriLearning team.
It's a bit man, hard work. Give a little background, where you come from, what is your nature of job, what makes you to think of PMP?
Yeah. So hi there. I'm Sukanto Dasgupta. So I'm a mechanical engineering graduate. Have close to 19 plus years of experience. So
you don't look, man. You don't look, huh? Some secret is there.
Maybe I have to thank my parents for that. Maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think. Yeah, I mean, it's all about your work, not about your looks. So
that's true.
So I have 19 plus years of experience, and I'm all through in supply chain, procurement. So you can call me a supply chain procurement lifetime, 19 plus years. I had the privilege to work in various sectors. So I have seen many industries, but all through procurement. And I think that's probably an advantage that I carry today, that having seen the different setups, different industry dynamics, different way of procurement, and I thoroughly enjoyed that.
That's good. Thanks for conveying that. You will see that certificate because people have to see that the new look of it. I believe you're all seeing the certificate. This is a new color, new logo. And I wouldn't call new logo. In fact, PMI logo stays the same. But if you key a stamp mark here, this is pretty new. I have not seen this before. This is a new one. And of course, we have our new CEO. Before this, we have Sunil getting signed. And now the Mike is a new CEO. And we have Jennifer Tharap as the chair, board of directors. That looks pretty interesting. I like the change. But of course, many people will say that, hey, previous model was good. Okay. The people who are doing a previous model will tell that before this 4 years back, some model was good. Human brain does not accept change immediately, but this is a new thing from the PMI. Looks really good. So what was your feel when you saw this certificate or when you saw the last question 180? Congratulations. What was your feel?
Yeah. Unfortunately for me, I won't call it an 180. It was 169. That's where I finished. And that's what I'm going to share with everyone here. Like why it was 169. With 169, obviously you're really keeping your fingers crossed. You're nervous, but then the moment press the next and this flashes on your screen, it's a moment of relief because you're just bordering from 169 to a congratulations. So it's like, what's going to happen, and it's really I mean, I was all over the place, very happy about it. But then, Sriram, 169 question takes a toll on you. So by the time you finish the exam, you're like, hey, let me spend some time, getting myself back. So it's like you're exhausted, but you're very happy. It's like a dream come true. So a memorable moment for me.
That's interesting. Great. All right, we'll be a little more interested to hear about your journey. So how the study process went on. See, ideally, these success stories, primarily people want to know, all right, you won it. I'm so happy. Congratulations. Now, give me some tips. Give me something so that I can use it. So if you want to say that angle, what do you want to say for these guys?
Yeah, so it's just like, I would say that I was also in the same place. Maybe a couple of months back when I used to see the success stories, I was like, okay, when this man will come and tell me what his secrets are. But then again, I think let's start from the beginning. Maybe I'll take a little bit of time to say why PMP, because I think the journey starts there. It's good to know why PMP. So maybe I'm taking a little more time, Sriram, but I think it would probably be, you would realize that is very much part of the story. So in this 19 years, I think the last, let's say 6-7 years, I have done project procurement roles. Different industries, but essentially all project procurement, you call it whatever be the name. Some call it PPLM, some call it product sourcing leader, some call it PMP. Yes, it's also PMP, someone calls it. But from that time, the liking for the project management profession grew in me. And I started to admire, I was not the project manager in any of these projects, but I was a project procurement manager, and project procurement manager is as good as a project manager if you're working in industry where heavily dependent on, let's say, an EPC industry, and you're heavily dependent on suppliers. 70% of your value is in the supply chain. So, I mean, in a way, project procurement manager is no less than a PM, except that PM does certain jobs that project procurement manager won't do. But as a project procurement manager, I could, this beautiful world of project management. And the second thing is that, to me, project manager is synonymous with leadership. I think you put people at the heart of it. You know that it's not going to be about you. It's going to be about a set of people that you're going to pull through. They're going to motivate. And I'm really passionate about leadership. That's what brings me to PMP. One side, the topic of project management itself, the framework. The second thing is that, it deals heavily around people. And if you love people, you would love project management, for sure. And more importantly, let's say having spent 6-7 years in project procurement, I felt, I know project management, how it works, but let me get into the science behind it. I think there's a time when you feel, hey, I should know the subject, the way the framework works, all aspects of project management. You don't want to go leave anything, let's say, when I work it, I will realize it. That I think at the time I was saying, hey, I've got 6-7 years of decent project management experience. Now let me go to the textbook of project management and see what's there. So why I'm saying so is because the moment we are signing up for PMP, a class, a course like this, we are committing ourselves. And for such a thing, your why has to be stronger. Why you are going to do it. If your why is stronger, you're going to sustain. This is a journey that will ask you to make some sacrifices, ask you to be diligent, ask you to 5, 15, 55. So basically 15 remain, 5 and 55, not so much in my life. So it's an exciting journey. So your why has to be, the moment your why is clear to you, that's like a magnetic, you have a vision in front of you and you want to get there rather than you're pushing yourself to get there. So that's the reason I just wanted to bring up this point.
Perfect. I like that, Sukanto, when you say that. Many of the people come for the PMP classes and then it doesn't mature to become a certification. One of the reason is the why was not stronger. Somebody said, then I came for the PMP. All right. Somehow I'll get a promotion, so I came for PMP. That won't work. That the basement should be strong. I think you made the point very clear. Beautiful. Now let's go to the area where you watch most of the time success story. Guys, tell me something.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's I signed up for the course in the month of November. So initially it was, I planned to take it around, you have that in the beginning, you will say you write a date and say when you would like to see yourself as PMP certified. So, that for me, that was 17th of February, but now I finished the exam on 8th of April. So there's a bit of lag, but it's it's a process that I haven't gone through. So when you start it, yes, you set yourselves a timeline, but then, you go through a kind of self-discovery. As you progress, it's like what you call it in Agile, progressive elaboration, rolling wave planning. And I feel that I think more than anything, what matters is a realistic time schedule. And if you read the chapter of schedule, they say it's like project manager has to make a realistic time schedule. You are not simply going to copy others and say, look, people are doing it in 2 months, 3 months, so I'm going to do it. That's the benchmark. No, it's not, because everyone's journey is unique. Yeah, our lifestyles are unique. We are at different positions, different level of responsibility. So I felt, so I set myself a 17th Feb deadline, but then eventually ended up giving it on 8th of April. But I'm pretty sure, the planning was very, very good towards the end of it. So how did I prepare? So if I have to come to in terms of books, I read Rita a minimum 2 to 3 times. I read Agile Practice Guide. That's also 2 times. I also read Mike Griffith. The reason is, look, I come from a traditional background, traditional project management, the waterfall predictive environment, and I could see that this is making heavily tilted towards Agile. So I wanted to make sure that I spend good amount of time in Agile. And for me, APG, Agile Practice Guide summarizes the content very nicely. And normally you recommend that go to the Agile Practice Guide, but then when you take the exams, there are questions that are beyond the Agile Practice Guide. So I covered Mike also. PMBOK, not really, because I think Rita plus APG plus Mike, I think from a books point of view, it would pretty suffice. So these are the 3 books that I read. I set myself a schedule. I followed your study plan, ShriLearning study plan. There's a science behind it, so I could realize it. So as I said, the consistency wins. So my objective was to stay consistent. Yes, like any project, the moment you sign up for an exam, you have started a project. Okay, there's going to be you definitely plan a schedule, but the schedule is going to be probably a little bit disrupted. There's something going to happen that's going to unsettle you. You'll have some bad days, and that's probably with experience you learn that, okay, I need to factor in a little more days. But overall, like on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, I really put in a lot of hours. So I was pretty consistent in terms of reading, taking the chapter test in Rita, taking those daily. I gave some fancy names to it. I used to call D1, D5, D10. Daily 1 question, 5 questions of, aiming helps me saying, okay, how many D1s, how many D5, how many D10s? And those are really, what I've realized that ShriLearning is an unlimited buffet. they give you more than what you can digest. So as long as you're there, you're part of the journey, make most of it. And then these guys are like your cheerleaders. They want you to succeed. They're doing their best. It's really up to me to say, like, okay, look, you are behind me. You are putting in so much effort behind me. Let me also be pretty much accountable here. So I used to take the test, and since December, I have been taking those tests, your weekly mock test, very, very consistently. I would say initially more on the PMP side, but then I realized when I took some PMP weekly mock test, and I realized I was scoring a little less, and I started as you advised, like see the questions which you're getting wrong, why you're getting wrong, and what I used to do also. Not only what I got wrong, but I made a tracker like Excel tracker where I used to put all my questions, and I put from which chapters those used to come. So I used to not only see what I'm getting wrong, but which chapters, which particular topics I'm getting wrong. So basically, it's like a retrospective kind of an activity that I used to do. And Sriram, I used to even review those questions which I'm getting right, because at times I might be by instinct saying this is right, but then if I know, I have to be honest with myself. If I know that this is a fluke, I didn't really know what it is, but I got it right. But let me go back and see what's really it's in it. The harvesting of the questions gives you so much of knowledge, gives you so much of insight, and it's like I kept on going all the mock test. I kind of made a little bit of hand notes. So my handwriting is very, very poor. So I don't trust my own handwriting. So handwriting for me was not, but I was taking a lot of notes on my computer. I used to put a tracker. Then I used to say, okay, these are the data representation techniques. These are the theories. These are the, I used to call them some tormentors. Like I used to get some of the topics always wrong. So I used to say, okay, man, here I need to put a little bit of effort. So I kind of maintained this rhythm all through. And I think the secret, I would say, like what really was the real factor behind this success is taking those exams, reviewing them, identifying your areas of weakness, go back, read again, take as many tests as possible. Don't leave anything. If it's a D1, D5, D10 or W40, W40 of ACP and PMP, leave nothing. Okay, it's all there to take. So diligently all through half of December, January and February. The last weekly test I took was on 5th of March, because after that I got into the full mocks. So that's pretty much it's discipline and the kind of study material and the question bank that.
Thanks. I would appreciate that. You're given a clue about study material. You're clue about how to, keep looking at the questions, analyzing. Have a discipline consistently. Do that. It's pretty important, right? That's nice. And like the way you follow the tracker, follow the study plan. I think it's a good amount of effort has happened at your side. Even though when you explain, it looked like a cakewalk, easy thing, but I'm sure it doesn't happen just like that. You need to sit and work on that tracker, and you be very diligent on what you do. You should accept your mistakes and come out of that, right? It's not that easy. Wow, that's a good effort from your side. So now, you being a mechanical person, then you said about a supply chain person, then you said you're a predictive nature person. But the way whatever you explain now looks more of agile. The way look like you already either into agile or you learned and applied what you have learned in the books. That's a feel I'm getting. That's interesting. That's interesting. Nice. So now, how are you prepared when you go to the main exam? That exam fear or exam nervousness or something will be there. And how was your exam, and why the questions was 169? So that question everyone will going to ask you now. Why 169? Why can't go beyond that? So what happened in the exam hall?
Yeah, I think, I just wanted to mention one more thing here is that I think I would always follow your principle of quality over quantity. So you have many pages to read, but just make sure that you understand. And this is what helped me with 169 to see the certificate. Exam. So basically, we all have busy schedules. I am a manager myself, so I have a team to manage. I work on tenders with, you don't know what timeline they will come and go. So at times, you don't know. So for the exam day, I would suggest, like I initially thought of taking about a week off before my exam, just in order to get into my zone, just shut out all noise from outside and from within. Both are equally harmful. But then I realized that it's pretty difficult to take a full week off before the exam. It's not possible. So I took my exam was on 8th of April, and I took leave for 6th, 7th, and 8th. So I just allowed myself 48 hours of pure concentration, and I know that very well. And if you haven't done it in the 4 months before, you cannot do anything in the last 2 days. That's for sure. If you have done good in the last 4 months, you have followed a process, you have been methodical about your approach, you have believed in quality over quantity, if you have believed in comprehension, assimilation over just pure, let's say, remembering the formula, then I think we are all good to go for the exam. And before the exam, I took four full mocks of ShriLearning. All of them were, except one occasion, I scored 75 plus in all three. And that was giving me the confidence that probably it's time. And then there is never a good time to go for the exam. Like, for example, you can say, okay, I'm still not ready, maybe on a 1 week more, but exam is exam. It's unlike anything that you would do even at ShriLearning. So I said, look, I got to back myself and say, I know the pattern. It's about time management. It's about kind of questions. But on the exam day, PMI exam is PMI exam. It was one of the most difficult mock tests I have given. It's unlike ShriLearning mocks, honestly. In ShriLearning mocks, if you have 180 questions, probably 100 odd would really test you. Lengthy question, situational question. What would you do if you're in the situation? Very verbose. But there would also be few which would take some load off you. You would be able to move. But in PMP exam, it's like first 60 questions for me took 105 minutes. 105. Okay, now I know that Sriram, you have been telling all of us like spend 90 minutes in that first 60 because it's your nerves has to settle down and you have to get a good start. If you get a good start, then I think that confidence follows in your next 120 questions. I was planning that. I planned the same way. Let's say I should have like 90 minutes ideally for the first 60 questions, but the questions were really tough. All of them more or less situational questions. They're not as verbose or as lengthy as some we see it in ShriLearning. But even if they have a 3 to 4 lines of descriptions, you got to read them because all of them make sense. Is nothing that superfluous, nothing which is irrelevant, just pure English. And we are trained to see, okay, now this is going to be the question, theme of the question. But when PMI is smart, okay, even if this is 3 to 4 lines of English for the question part of it, you got to read them. If you miss them, you're going to miss the essence. And I would tell you, Sriram, I think 169, 150 plus questions are all scenario based. There are no straight textbook kind of a pick. 150 questions. So first 60 question took me 105 minutes. I think I was a little bit slow there, but I knew that I've done well there because I also managed to do, I don't know, I mean, whether this is a good practice, bad practice, but I managed to do a 10 minutes quick review in that. That's so 105, including a review of 10 minutes. But I felt that, okay, this 60 question, I'm pretty sure, I'm 75 plus here.
Yeah, I think you did it with the clarity. Even if you do 100 questions, 95 plus will be correct. That's the way you are focused and did it. Okay, got you.
Yeah. So that's what, and I know that I'm slightly behind time, but I've seen success stories where people have said, look, I've taken 100 minutes, but I've been able to recover. So I was hoping this 60 is the toughest set. Next 60 is going to be a little bit. Then I take a break, and normally you have a 10-minute break, but then I didn't take the full 10 minutes. 5 minutes, 6 minutes. I said, like, I don't see any reason why I have to be there for 10 minutes. I wanted to continue. So, started my next 60 minutes, and I was just hoping 61st onward, they'll start looking simpler. Man, again, the same set of questions, situational. And you have questions, a lot of questions from stakeholders, communications, resources, agile, but not so much that they ask you what is story point or velocity, not so to that extent. It's an agile framework based question. A lot of questions are life cycle approach, development approach. Basically, PMI is trying to understand whether you understand the subject or not. PMI is for you as a stakeholder. Please understand what PMI expects. So PMI is testing your mindset. PMI and there are questions which are 3-4 lines and there are 4 options. Okay, I have practiced so much that I know 2 of these are not really the answer, so I'm boiling down to 2. But then the remaining 2, you are really saying, okay, this or that. They look very, very close, very close. Okay, then that's where your real understanding comes into play. Like, okay, now my instinct says this is the right one. I am sure this is the right one. But then, so you have to read it. You have to skim through. I followed your advice, go from the bottom. But then nevertheless, you will come to a point where you say this or that. They look very, very like twins almost. Okay, so I have to be. So now there's a trade-off that you have to do. Either you go fast, trust your instincts, go fast, or you say, okay, I'm going to go a little bit slow, but at least I want to make a good start. So I think on a hindsight, 105 could have been, let's say 80 minutes. 90, 95 is also okay. That's why 10 minutes probably I was overspent. The next 61 until 120, I was saying, oh gosh, now give me some easy questions. But again, it's all and questions are like this. You have a question in which there's a stakeholder flavor, there's a communication flavor, there's a resource flavor, everything packed into one question. So you really have to say that, okay, now this is a test of my final answer is on a test on the communication, test on the stakeholder. So my message out to anyone who's listening to this, PMI is not going to give you easy questions. So I think they're really going to test your understanding. So I think it's very important to understand. It's very important to mention that you assimilate things. If your understanding and assimilation is right, eventually, as I say, we all are nervous during the main exam. But when you press the next button, I think you're going to mostly see the congratulations. Now the next 61 to 120, I know that I'm already falling behind. It took me around 72 minutes approximately. So that was really fast. And by the time I would say probably acquainted with the PMI way of questioning. Like I know how each of these questions appear, what are the kind of choices. So the next set of 61 to 120, I was also very confident that I've done well. I was getting confidence that yes, maybe a little bit, only probably the struggle was around time management, but rest of it when I was reading the questions and no questions straightforward, like what is, as I said, like what is velocity of this, what is this user story, or SPI, CPI, nothing. I got one question which is around cost, where you have to just basically use a calculator. I used a calculator for one question only. And there are two questions which are like matching. You have to match. But rest of it, 150 plus is purely scenario-based questions. And you have to, it was like managerial decision making at its peak, really. And then I think when I was into, and then again, I took the second break, again, 5 to 7 minutes. Then I was left with 60 questions and about 50 minutes. Okay, so I could manage around 49 questions in 50 minutes. But again, one of my ShriLearning mocks is that where I fell short, and Rahul knew about it. Even though I fell short, I scored high. So I was always trying to see that if you are in a panicky mode by then you start, don't think about the question and start, it looks like this, okay, this is going to be an answer. I was trying to maintain my sanity and saying, look, let me give it my best shot. I mean, I know that it all those negative thoughts would come and try to cover you. Let's stay focused. If I'm disciplined around each and every question, let's say one question a minute, I would still be able to make it to 180. But eventually, because some of the questions are again scenario based, so I ended up scoring around 49. So overall, that's where I had 60 plus 60 plus 49. So that's 169. And I had a mixed feeling when I was going for the next. I had a mixed feeling whether I cleared it not on, deep within inside. I knew that I think I was not anything. I mean, there was barely any question which was like I didn't understand all of it. That's the only thing that it took a little bit of time to press the right button. So that's it. So when I pressed it, I was out of breath. It takes a massive toll. By the time I was exhausted, fortunately, happily for me, that it says congratulations.
Good, nice to hear. Thanks a lot for those information. But when you come to 169 and you say time is out, does it ask anything, or the screen goes away?
No. It's a timer on the right side of it, so you know that. It's like that it's last 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 30 seconds. So I was trying to touch 170 at least, so that I have only 10 which are.
I like that, but yeah, I like that with you. You said one message. You don't want to rush, even because it is coming close. Many people do this. If you have 10 questions in last 3 minutes, they don't read the question. They will read the choices A, B, C, D. Something which looks happy to them, they click it. Okay, like this, it'll complete 10 questions.
No,
But do that.
back am I saying, like, even if I'm scoring 169 and 170, if I'm good in that 169 and 170, okay, I'm probably falling short by 10 or 11 questions. But if I've really done good decision making in the 169 and 170, I'm still going to go through.
That makes actually quality, as you rightly said, more than quantity, quality matters. Out of 169, imagine 167 is correct. So you made a good shot. That makes the job clear. Super good. So message to all the audience watching here. First thing in the exam, don't get panicked. And don't expect all the questions will be easy questions. You may have tough questions also. There are some people who got a very smaller questions. They said, Shyam, say click, 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 click. It's it's up to you, your day. The day goes like that. But again, the message what we got today here is, even though time runs out, don't get panicked. Be focused. Give a quality time for it. When we practice, I keep telling that first 60 questions may eat long time. Next 260 questions, you have to start working on a 70 minutes pattern. Many people do that, but even when you go to main exam, your consciousness gets little more higher. So you tend to read the same question 2 times, same answer 2 times. So your time getting consumed more and more and more and more. So that's what would have happened for Sukanto Das here. But nevertheless, it's a good shot, and he's done with PMP. It's over. So how much your family is excited now?
Yeah. I mean, anyone. I mean, my wife is an IT professional. By the way, she was working on the Scrum, but 6 months back, I had no clue what is Agile, what is Scrum, what kind of words they talk about. I mean, what is this? Like, completely coming from predictive. If you say Agile, Scrum, product owner, like, I don't get any of it.
Okay.
And now I go back and I talk to my wife. I use Agile language, and she said, "Stop it. It's already 10 hours of that I do in my office. Please."
I expected this. I expect this reaction because she would have been happy so far that nobody's intervening in her way of working. Now you may question, why you put a team like that? Why you do self-organizing? Oh my God, please leave me, man.
And then Shriram, I think big vote of thanks to you. I think the way you taught us, you demystified the whole Agile thing. For someone who's coming from predictive and traditional background, it's like, what is this? And then you had to demystify. And there were, and just a message, I think there's a lot of Agile. At one point of time, I was thinking, really, I'm giving a PMP exam or I'm giving an ACP exam? Not really. They're testing each and every word of Agile, but the setup, what's happening is all Agile setup. I was really, it's a PMP exam or it's an ACP exam I'm giving? But then again, thankfully, I was little well prepared there. Nice. And I know that I think you helped us to demystify Agile in a very simplistic manner. I think, I have always maintained that I think, Shriram, I think what you do really good is that you simplify things. So I know unless I really tame that Agile thing, it's going to play in my mind. So I think I spent an awful lot of time, more than predictive at one, while I was preparing more than one predictive. I think I started spending equal amount of time in Agile, because I've been hearing these success stories and many people are telling, like, there's a lot of Agile flavor. So you don't want a situation where you said, look, probably I did my best, but still Agile got better of me. So I didn't want to happen. Let it happen.
That's interesting. Happy to know that. I'm seeing one thing recent days. People are coming from predictive. They are enjoying the learning of Agile. They're feeling that, man, Agile looks good and easy. I'm liking it. That's the feel I get. Okay, perfect.
Shriram, if you keep the words aside, the jargon aside, if you go to the essence of Agile, it's really common sense. It's really the way the world is shaping up today. Right. The words could be a little fancy, but it's not very difficult to understand what is Agile. My take.
You're right. You're right. We're already doing it. Most of them we are already doing in our day-to-day life. All right, perfect. I'm so happy that it happened, that you were able to read the books well, practice it properly, have a pattern, have a study plan, and main exams you went, of course, it challenged you. It is not just like that, go click, 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 click. Because if you do that, then the certification will not have that weightage. When you work hard and you get it, the moment you see that congratulations, you feel some emotions you can't express to anyone else. That joy, right? That's interesting. And top of that, family contributed, helped you, and supporting you. Yeah, that's also a really good thing.
Yeah, they really helped me, supported me. Even my manager was very supportive. Because there's going to be bound to be a lot of work, but the moment you say like, okay, I have my exam date on this date and I'm going to take a leave, people understand. People understand, and this support is very required. Even my team, I told very clearly that these are the days when I am going to be absent. Please hold the fort.
Mm, mm.
And peacefully last 72 hours, 48 hours, or last, let's say last,
Nice.
and then exam. So I want to be in my zone. I really got good support. I'm really thankful to all of them.
Perfect. Perfect. The certification is one part of it. The journey is the what we get out of it. This journey will cherish with you for a long time. I have many people who cleared PMP years back. They come back and tell to me, Shriram, I'm doing other certifications, but I'm missing that journey, man. That was so nice, thrilling. You wake up in the morning, you read, you're disciplined, no mobile, no Facebook. So uh, I think that is the core essence of what we are doing here, right?
No, if I have a PMP again, I would just do the challenge of it. Like, if you love challenge, please do PMP.
Oh yeah. All right, that's very interesting. First, thanks a lot, Sukanto Das, for coming up here, and it's always good to have some success stories. We have a lot of success stories. Every story unique in nature. If you sit and listen to everything will have some unique factor. Rightly you said in the beginning, you cannot take a template of somebody and copy exactly. No, you cannot do that. But you can take some essence out of it. For example, following a study plan. For example, how to analyze the questions, how to not be panic in the main exam. So these are the keys the listener to this video can take for them. But again, at the same time, the dedication is very much important and discipline is important because the content is vast. Also, with our job nature, we cannot sit and read continuously 5-6 hours. We get hardly 1 hour, half an hour, 2 hours somewhere. So how do you manage your time really makes sense. Yeah, that's a point. Super good, super good. And thanks a lot for coming up here, and good wishes for your future. The way you explaining, I feel that you already started applying what you learned. So yeah, that's one thing. Keep telling.
Absolutely, Sriram. And my, before this ends, I think I must say that how did ShriLearning happen to me? So I had one colleague of mine who did a project together, and he was like the lead, and I was the project procurement of part of it. And I just happened to ask, like, hey, did you do PMP? He said, yes, I did. And from where you did it? Oh, I went to ShriLearning. Till that time, I had never heard of ShriLearning. And this is, I'm talking about, let's say in August or September, the batch started in November. And then there's so many courses out there in the market. You are really clueless. So I said, okay, how do you find them? I think he said, very professional, very supportive, and they give you the personalized attention. You would not get it anywhere. So I experienced it firsthand, and that's a big thanks to Sriram, to you. It's not easy for you. You have a full-time job, and on top of that, you have this passion for certification kind of an preparation for. So hats off to you. If like you make it look so simple, Sriram, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot of hard work behind. If Sriram, you can do it, why not us? Okay, so we together.
True.
Big of thanks. And Rahul, even if I see his face, I would still feel that he's not human. It's like epitome of human efficiency. Like I just wonder whether he has a life or not. And I know that it's not just you or Rahul. There's a team behind it. Big thanks for bringing me up to this point. And really, I would be grateful to ShriLearning for this.
Perfect. Thanks a lot for your trust, and thanks to your lead manager who recommended us. Really happy for it. And go ahead, apply whatever you learned. The main growth happens only when you apply what you learn. If not, it stays only as a paper in the file. So start applying and let people know that this guy has learned without you saying that you are certified. So that's an important thing. Okay. Super good. All the best. Keep rocking. And thanks for being here and good wishes for a great success.
Thanks. Pleasure.